Are you thinking about adding solar panels to your home? Well, we did, but we made some mistakes along the way. So in this video, I'll share some things to consider if you're thinking about adding solar panels to your home. Hi, my name is Casey and I'm a local realtor here in Corona. And on this channel, I share information about the 5500 communities of Trilogy, Glen Ivy, and the community of Terramor. So if this is something you think would be helpful, I'd love if you'd hit the like and the subscribe buttons below. As I mentioned earlier, we wanted to add solar panels to our home. When we first purchased our new home, we had to install solar panels. Here in California, any new construction home built after 2020 has to have solar panels. But during the sales process, we found out we only had two options. We could either purchase our panels or we could lease them. The size of the system had already been determined by the builder, and there were no options to add panels or to upgrade the system at all. But after living in our home for the first year, we realized it wasn't producing enough electricity to power our entire home, especially during the hot summer months. So we were a little disappointed. Our original system was installed by a company called SunPower, so we contacted them about adding additional panels. And we assumed that since we already had panels from SunPower, this would be the best way to go. But this was our first mistake, and you'll see why in a few minutes. SunPower came out and reviewed our electrical usage for the past 12 months and made the recommendation to add 10 additional panels to our existing 10-panel system. And after reviewing the quote, we agreed to move forward. And after a few weeks, two installers from SunPower came out to install the panels. But unfortunately, it was raining that day. So we asked them if they'd like to reschedule since we were in no hurry to install the panels at all. And to be honest, we were really concerned about them being up on the roof in the heavy rain. But they insisted it would be okay. So they went up and got to work. And when they were finished, they came back down and let us know the system was installed and would be turned on remotely in a few days. But when the rain stopped, we went outside to take a look at the panels. And the first thing we noticed was the electrical conduit for the new panels had been installed on the exterior of the roof and was visible from the front of the house. Now this seemed a little odd because none of the other homes in our community had this exposed conduit like we did. And sure enough, within a couple days, several neighbors came and knocked on our door and complained about the conduit. We also noticed there were several pieces of broken roof tiles on the ground in our backyard. And this made us a little concerned that they had damaged our roof during the installation. We then did some research and found that in our community, the conduit was not allowed to be exposed. The rules state that it has to be concealed in the attic. So we called SunPower to let them know it had to be moved. But unfortunately, no one would return our calls. And we tried calling their customer service department too, but found that their customer service representatives weren't even employees of SunPower. They were a third-party company that were hired to handle the customer complaints. And every call we made to this company was nothing more than an employee reading a script. And this went on for several weeks. And during this time, we got more rain. And now we noticed that our roof was actually leaking and water was coming into our covered patio area. We gave up on the customer service representatives and we emailed the project manager directly. We let him know that we were going to be fined by our HOA if the conduit wasn't moved and that the roof was actually leaking, but still no response. And a few days later, the same two installers arrived at our home, but the installers didn't know why they were coming back either. So we explained the situation about the exposed conduit and the roof leak. They did go ahead and reroute the conduit through the attic, and they said they repaired a couple of cracked roof tiles. So we thought our problems had been resolved. But again, about a week later, it began to rain, and we noticed that the roof leak was still happening. And we tried customer service again and the project manager, but still nothing. Now at this point, we really needed to get our roof repaired to prevent any further damage to our home. So we contacted the roofing company that did the initial installation on our home. They had an employee come out to do an inspection of our roof. And when he came down from the roof, he showed us some photos. And we actually had over 45 broken roof tiles. He also showed us where the roof was leaking and pointed out how the installers had tried to repair many of the broken tiles with caulking rather than replacing the broken tiles. To say that we were shocked is an understatement. We just couldn't understand how a solar company could do so much damage to a roof. But at this point, we really had no choice. We really needed to get our roof repaired. So we had the roofing company go ahead and make the repairs caused by SunPower. The roofing company said that our roof wasn't the first that they'd seen like this. In fact, they'd been out to several other homes in the area that had similar damage just like ours. So we paid the roofing company to replace the 45 broken tiles and to repair the roof leak. But I have to say, we were furious with SunPower. They had absolutely no concern about the damage that they caused on our roof. And what was even worse is we found out later that the damage caused by the installation of the panels actually voided the warranty on our roof. So our experience with SunPower wasn't a good one at all. In fact, it was probably one of the worst customer service experiences we've ever had. And looking back, we did make some mistakes along the way. We went with the company that installed our initial solar panels, and we didn't speak with any other solar companies. And if we'd have done some research, we would have seen the long list of customer complaints about SunPower, and I doubt we would have hired them. And we really should have been much more involved in the installation and placement of the panels. The reality is we never should allow them up on the roof in the rain. And finally, we should have asked questions about our roof before starting this project. We didn't think about the roof being damaged during the installation of the panels, and we didn't realize the damage would void our warranty either. But with the cost of electricity here in California continuing to rise, we really felt like adding the additional solar panels was the best way for us to keep this cost under control. And even though we had nothing but headaches with SunPower during this process, our home does produce the amount of power that we were looking for. So if you're thinking about adding solar panels to your home and you have any questions at all about our experience with the process, please let me know. I'd be happy to help you try to avoid some of the problems that we had.